everyone, and welcome back to the Man's Kitchen. Of course, it is me, your host, James the Food Man, and today we're going to make a shepherd's pie. Alright guys, before we make this video, you got to smash that like button, hit the subscribe button, ding the bell. YouTube makes this a really complicated process for you to get my videos every week. But really, just hit the subscribe button, ding the bell icon, and we'll worry about all the other bells and whistles you have to hit later. As long as you subscribe to my Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, we can get all over this. Alright, now, shepherd's pie is a great way to use up stuff in your fridge, because you can put really whatever you want in it. Now, somebody's going to say, you have to make it with lamb, or I don't like lamb, let's make it with beef, but that's not real, blah, 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 blah. Who really gives a shit? So what we're going to do today is we're going to make our shepherd's pie, and we've got some onions that are going to go into the ground beef. We've also got a baggie here out of the freezer, some corn and peas, and we've got an open baggie of corn. So that's going to be our vegetables that goes in our ground beef. On top of that, we're going to have our mashed potato. We're going to make a little gravy to go in there. We're not going to make the gravy from scratch. We're just cleaning out the cupboard today. So we got some beef soup base. We're going to whip that up there. Seasonings, well, we got some garlic powder. We got some oregano, some pepper, some salt, and almost bottom of a carton of milk, and some butter and flour. So those are the ingredients up there. Since we're kind of just cleaning out the fridge today and using leftovers and odds and ends, the proportions don't really matter. I'll write down some proportions, so if you're doing this without cleaning out your fridge, you can kind of approximate what you need. But really, this is a clean out the fridge kind of meal. So the first thing we need to do is get our potatoes on to make our mashed potatoes. Alright, so we have our pot of water on, and we're going to heavily salt it. Salt is key when it comes to getting your mashed potatoes tasty. In our wok, we're going to get some oil in there and preheat it, adding our onions and ground beef to the wok, and we're going to brown them all up in there. I'm using the wok because that is my biggest frying pan. We're also adding our seasonings now. We're doing our pepper, our salt. I think we're going to put in the oregano and the garlic powder as well. Yep, there goes the salt. Garlic powder. We're adding some red wine here just to deglaze a little bit. That was Penfolds 2011 Australian Shiraz, in case anyone's curious. I'm just going to mix it up now. You can see that it's pretty brown, and we just needed a little bit of liquid to do some deglaze. We're starting to stick a little bit. We're adding in our frozen vegetables, carrots and peas, and now corn. There it goes. All in the pot. So we're going to mix it up real good. Toss it up if you can. Throwing in a couple sticks of butter because we're going to make our roux now for our gravy. So let's melt that butter off real quick. Throwing in our flour, and we're going to brown this up. Now, if we were making a real gravy, we would be adding stock in next, but we're making not quite a real gravy. We're making a wine gravy. So after we get all this flour incorporated, we're going to pour in our red wine. That's 1.5 cups going in. And I think I drank the rest of it while shooting after. It was 10 o'clock in the morning. It was a hard day. So there that goes in. We're going to mix that up. Mixy, mixy, mixy. And I like to use about 2.5 soup spoons of beef soup base per pound of ground beef. I think it just kicks up the flavor a bit. And it was a little boozy at this point, so we put in another cup of water to take a little bit of the wine strength out. Make sure we taste it. I tasted it a few times. I adjusted the seasoning back and forth with the garlic powder and the salt. Now we're going to pour it into our casserole pan. This was not the pan I intended on using, so the directions tell you that I made mashed with
3.5 pounds at the start. Reality, that was 2 pounds, and then I had to make a second batch. Now we're putting some chicken soup base in because that is one of the keys to a good mashed potato, in my opinion, some chicken stock. And since I didn't have any, we're just using some soup base. In there we've put in the milk, the oregano, the chicken stock, the pepper, the salt, yep, here comes the kosher salt. We're just going to put a little sprinkle in. By the way, my wife hated it when I ripped the top of the box off like that. She absolutely hated it. And we're going to put the masher in here, and we are just going to mash the snot out of this until we have some real nice mashed potatoes. Boom. What a trick that editing, you can make things go faster than it really happened, eh? And back to normal speed where we throw our butter in. Mix up that butter real good, guys, and we're going to throw in the secret weapon that's going to add some zip. Some mayo, or you could use egg yolks. Now we're going to give it another high speed mash, 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 mash! Mash that up nice and good. Taste it up to make sure it tastes all right. I think I tasted it about 4 or 5 times. I kept going back and forth a bit with the salt and oregano, I think, this time. And now we're going to place this all over the top of our shepherd. Now we have the pie on top. I think that's how I'm calling this. The bottom's the shepherd and the mashed potato is the pie. So we're going to cover it all up nice and smooth with our 2 batches of mashed potatoes. And we're going to throw that in the oven. There's no camera scene of me putting it in the oven because I didn't move the camera, and it was a nice view of my untanned plumber's crack, and nobody wants to see that, trust me. So now we're going to throw on an ungodly amount of cheese. I think that was almost a half a block. And we're going to let that cheese melt up for about 10 minutes before we pull this out of the oven.
Hi, I'm back for take 3 because the first time the mic wasn't on and the second time we weren't recording. So I've got some shepherd's pie here out of the oven. It's been sitting for a few minutes to cool off. We're going to get some pie, some shepherd. We're going to get a little bit of everything on this fork. Now I ended up baking that for about 45 minutes, and that gave the crust enough time the potatoes enough time to crust up just nice. The beef gets this extra richness from that wine. It's a Australian Shiraz, in case anybody's wondering. And yes, like a heathen, I'm using a water glass. This was full when I started, by the way. Now, the cheese was a delicious last-minute addition because this is ridiculously good. Now, if you like today's video, hit that subscribe button. Hit the like button. If you like my channel, hit the subscribe button. And after you go make yourself a shepherd's pie with the simple instructions I laid out, then go ahead and leave a comment on this video and let us know how it turned out. Until next week, I've been your host, James the Food Man, and you've just been in the man's kitchen.